My name is Paul Jones. I was the Project Leader Automation Specialist for Century Industries, PCC, or Precision Cast Core. My role was to bring automation to the aerospace industry within our group of companies. We approached multiple companies on this. I think we actually reached out to more than 10 companies. 7 companies responded. Systematics is the only company that came back with a full package answer. So for what we were trying to do in the assembly of the process or the assembly of the parts, Systematics is the only one that came back with a complete answer to tell us how to do it. Everybody else wanted to do just part of the cell and tackle the more difficult components of the cell later on. The complexity of the system, there were 28 different nut plates that got assembled onto 64 different part styles, lefts and rights, per airplane model. So there were 3 airplane models, Dash 8, Dash 9, and Dash 10 for this customer. So you add all that up, the complexity for all that, plus one of our greatest issues was the sealant. Only having a 2-hour pot life, it came in pre-mixed, it was frozen, and we heated it up enough so that we could start using it, but we only had a 2-hour window to use it. So in our manual process, we wasted a lot of tubes of the sealant. With the automated system, we were actually able to predict how much sealant that we were going to use. We still did waste some because of the nature of the packaging, but we were able to predict how much we were going to use over the course of the day, so we didn't waste anywhere near as much. I predicted it was going to be about a 200% savings on just the sealant, and we were pretty close to it. The biggest challenge of this project was the complexity of the components. We were doing it for a customer that required all these components that we did to be assembled together into other structures for the airplane. So the parts that we were actually doing were wing to body components, and no part is the same as any other part. There's no 2 of anything in one assembly. So there's a left hand and right hand, but even those are very different. So the complexity of the parts, the amount of part styles that we had to do and program to be successful, along with the amount of components that we had to add to the actual part, it was very complex, and that was our biggest concern for this project, being able to complete successfully and have it do what we wanted it to. The biggest win in building this cell was we actually did achieve our requirement of 3.5 aircraft in approximately 4.5 days of assembly. So we reduced our assembly time by 2.5 days. If we just built to requirement throughout the week, but we were finished our build by Friday afternoon, approximately 7 to 8 o'clock at night, which gave us 4 hours to do manual cleaning without paying for overtime, without taking on all the extra burden that we would have to take on operating through the weekend, which we had done previously with the manual operation. Manual operation required 21 operators, 7 days a week, so around the clock, and no stoppage. If somebody called in sick, it did affect us. The robotic cell allowed us to reduce our manpower down to, I think it was 8 operators over the course of the full week. The part quality far exceeded our expectation. We never, through the equipment, produced a bad part. We had sealant that had to be applied. It was always repeatable, where in our manual operation, it wasn't. If I had 7 different operators putting on sealant, I had 7 different ways to do that. Whereas with the robotic system, it was 100% repeatable, and we never had an issue with it that way. What impressed me most about the system was how compact it was for having 3 robots in the cell, plus the size of the components that we put into the cell, from anywhere from 14 inches all the way up to, I believe, almost 9.5 feet length of a part. Having 3 robots being able to reach everything it had to reach on those components was amazing. The initial customer that we built it for was very excited to see it. They wanted to adapt it to other facilities and other areas. In fact, they had very difficult time installing robotics systems into any of their processes in aerospace. It's because of the components, the size of the components, the complexity of the components. So they were very excited to see how we utilized our system.